big treat for everybody this morning. Our money men are all back together, so we're going to welcome in business and markets analyst Seth Denson, as well as adjunct professor at Montclair State University, Dan Geltrude. Our boys are back. Okay, so on top of yesterday's market score, Bitcoin actually jumped to a new height of $76,000. You know, Donald Trump really along the way throughout his candidacy called himself the pro-crypto candidate. He's really been pushing that Bitcoin. Dan, I'm going to start with you first here. Do you expect to see the markets continue to climb as we reach Inauguration Day?
Well, yesterday we certainly saw the Trump bump, and that was because now we have some certainty about what direction the country is going to go in. So what is going to happen next? Look, I think there's going to be a lot of people out there that right now have that fear of missing out and are going to want to get in the market. At the same time, there's going to be people that are saying, hey, I'm going to cash in right now, sell, and keep going. Listen, the market is about long-term play, and you have to keep that in mind. But overall, do I think that there's optimism in the market because of Donald Trump's election? Yes, I do. And I do believe that the market will continue to do very, very well under his administration.
Well, Seth, before we head overseas, I do want to ask you this. How will a Trump presidency really affect those small businesses? I mean, under Bidenomics, we saw them really suffering. You had that high inflation, these high mortgage rates that they just truly could not afford. So with Trump as president, how will small businesses really react?
Well, Alex, inflation is a big impact to small businesses, right? Because in a small business, everything impacts that bottom line, and you're managing it so tightly. And so if Donald Trump can really get inflation under control, then he's going to have to focus in on reducing government spending to do that while simultaneously growing the economy. The Biden and Harris administration focused on spending more money in order to boost the economy. So if the Trump administration can come in and really set economic policy similar to what they had in the first 4 years, I think those small businesses will be able to embrace that inflation. Hopefully, we can also see interest rates come down because they're not combating inflation. That means credit lines can open up. And of course, keeping the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act in place post its sunset period of 2025. That'll be a good thing for small businesses.
I think all of that was just music to everyone's ears. Okay, so let's head overseas. So several markets around Asia fell immediately following Trump's victory, although most have recovered in choppy trading yesterday still. Wednesday saw the Chinese yen fall to its lowest standing against the dollar since late July. Seth, I'm going to stick with you on this one. What do you think Trump's second term means for our dealings over in Asia?
Well, it means we're going to be strong, and then we're not going to get pushed around. I mean, Trump has already been out talking about expansion potentially of tariffs. Now, I don't know that the Trump administration will ultimately do that, but they have the ability to do it, and China knows it. So do Asian markets. But we have to start separating the Chinese market from the broader Asian markets in places like Korea and Taiwan, Vietnam. The reality, though, is, Alex, we are in a global economy. We need everything to be aligned, but our exports need to be treated well, and we need to have opportunity there as opposed to just imports. And I think the Asian markets are recognizing that the new sheriff is the old sheriff, and this is the way things go. China was already on an economic slowdown now, so they're in a position where we need them to play ball. And make sure they're not stealing things like our IP and other things. So I think this is a good thing as we go into this.
Well, you just mentioned you want China to play ball. Well, this is what the Chinese Ministry of Commerce said after the election. He said, so the country is willing to, quote, strengthen communication, expand cooperation, and resolve differences with the United States on the principles of mutual respect, peaceful coexistence, and win-win cooperation. Dan, to you now, under Trump's last administration, of course, we ended up in a trade war with China. Do you think we'll see something similar unfold this time around?
Well, it's very, very possible, as Seth was saying. Will the Trump administration ultimately expand tariffs? I think the answer is if they have to. Now, Trump is going to use that without any question as a negotiation chip against them to say, look, if you guys don't want to play fair, and all those words are real nice to say, hey, we want a win-win. We all want a win-win. But if you're not going to play ball properly and fairly, then we're going to have to do some things that are going to level that playing field. So Do I think that we could have a good relationship with China? Yes, I think Trump would be open to that. But at the same time, I think he is ready to be very, very tough on China going forward if they are not going to keep their word.
Exactly. And honestly, hearing Trump talk about, just expanding those tariffs and having those heavy tariffs and then possibly reportedly getting rid of the income tax, I don't think the American people would hate that too much, because the income tax has not been around forever, in case people didn't know that. Seth Denson, Dan Geltrude, what a treat to have you on both this morning. We should do it more often.
Let's do it.
All righty, guys.